You're listening to the Gather Gurus podcast, the show for marketers and event leaders who want to create experiences people actually remember. We talk experiential marketing, event strategy, and modern attendee engagement. Today's episode is brought to you by GoGather.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Gathering Gurus. Today I'm sitting down with two people who helped shape how we approach the ever-changing event landscape here at GoGather. As we all know, in 2026, expectations are higher, timelines feel tighter, and teams are being asked to do more, stricter budgets. So here is Brian Kellerman, our CEO, and Dave, our president and co-founder of GoGather, to talk to you guys about how you can create better events. So Brian, Dave, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Madison. Thanks so much for hosting today. It's awesome to be on the other side now. So I appreciate it.
Madison. Yeah, thanks for having me. I don't usually get to do this, so I appreciate being here.
Yeah, love it. So our first question, take us back to the beginning. What sparked the idea for GoGather, and what did those early days look like as a boutique events agency?
Yeah, it was crazy. Dave and I were actually partners prior to GoGather, and in fact, can age ourselves and actually go all the way back to, I think the end of my high school career is about when I met Dave, if you can believe that. So it's been a few years, as they say. But ultimately, yeah, we were part of a much larger agency, or not much larger anymore, but larger at the time agency. And Dave and I just saw the opportunity as the market matured and changed, that events were sort of falling behind. That a lot of companies were a lot of agencies, I should say, were hyper focused on trying to bring everything in-house, right? How do we as an event agency sort of do it all and do it behind these sort of closed doors and make it so that when we're producing these events, everything's in-house and everything's flowing through us, and sort of we control all of the information and all of the different aspects of what's going on. And I think we recognize the opportunity that hey, this is not the most efficient use of our clients' budget, of their spend, of really creating meaningful experiences. And even the name GoGather, it was really more about how do we bring the right people together at the right time? The best people at any individual sort of aspect of an event, we felt like were out there, and they were independent suppliers. So whether that's production, registration, audio visual, even the on-site travel directors, that sort of thing. How do we help our clients sort of bring together the right team for that planning process? Dave, any?
Yeah. I think Brian said a lot of it, but there's certainly historically agencies back then did a lot of just kind of doing the work behind the curtains and hiding things from the client. And frankly, some still do some of that today. But we saw an opportunity and kind of had a vision for really creating transparency and visibility in the process. And as Brian said, the name GoGather says a lot of how we felt and how we built this as well. That, it's for us, it's all about contributing to the success of others, whether that be gathering 2 or 3 people together like we are right here, or 3,000 people together at a sales meeting. There are opportunities there and everywhere in between to contribute to the success of others. And that's what really excited and passionate about when we started GoGather.
Love that. So as the agency has grown, what are a few moments that really shaped how you approach events and client partnerships?
Well, I'll say one that I don't like talking about. I know a lot of people don't like talking about it these days, but to come into our timeline of ways was COVID. COVID kind of did a reshaping of events and really re-solidified for us the importance of human connection and human interaction and face-to-face interaction, where we had always believed that, but that actually kind of helped us double down on the fact that in-person relationships are one of the single most important things that people can have in life. That a lot of companies went towards virtual and still maybe do some virtual and some hybrid, but we're focused 100% on bringing people together in person. So I would say over the course GoGather's history, that was probably one of the single biggest things in my mind. I don't know, maybe Brian has something that can go back a little further than that.
I'd have to agree. I think we were uniquely positioned actually twice within our history. Once was when we got started. We actually started just before the 2008 crash, which is kind of crazy. We were right there. I mean, within months of us getting going, we saw our industry especially, but really the entire economy take a huge hit. And it was almost foreshadowing of the reasons that we started. We started the business to really show and provide value and help businesses understand that events are a meaningful way to make a lasting impact on your business. And we were very much focused when we started on the impact on a business. And then Dave's right. What COVID did is it took that for us and helped us evolve and lean further into that and realize the impact of events, not only on the business, but on the individuals. Like we talked about, this idea that we can actually create meaningful experiences, shared emotions amongst teams that were lacking especially during COVID, but still now, as we look at remote and hybrid work environments, that ability for people to connect personally, regardless of these amazing technologies, even like the one that we're using today, it leaves a gap. It leaves a sort of a disconnect, an emptiness for people. And so not only do we realize, yes, GoGather can be there and be that catalyst for a meaningful impact on businesses, now we can also extend that, as we came through COVID, to the meaningful impact on individuals, which then goes towards supporting not only the success of the business and the organization, but the success of the individual. And that's really where we're hyper focused now, is like Dave even said earlier, how do we really put ourselves in the shoes of every single attendee and make sure that these events, this time that they're taking away from their homes, their businesses, their loved ones, is actually meaningful and it actually has an impact on them personally, and not just on, okay, did it do better for the business?
Yeah, 100%. So my next question is, where do you guys see companies struggling the most when it comes to planning conferences, sales meetings, kickoffs, or incentive trips?
Believe it or not, I think alignment is where I think we see a lot of companies continue to struggle, right? This ability to recognize, okay, hey, we're doing a sales meeting, or we're doing an incentive trip, or we're doing a supplier partner meeting. But why? Why are we doing that? And how do we get alignment? Different people have different perspectives, for sure. A CEO is going to have a different perspective than a chief sales officer, a chief marketing officer, certainly a chief financial officer, and then all the way down throughout the organization, right? What does that event mean to an actual sales rep versus a client partner, those sorts of things. And so companies really need to get hyper focused on purpose, on alignment around, if we're doing this event, why are we doing this event? What are the specific goals and objectives that we're looking to accomplish? And then how do those vary throughout the organization? And there could be sort of multiple perspectives, like I said, for different people. What is it that we're looking to accomplish as a leadership team? What is it that we're looking to accomplish, from even an HR perspective, or a company culture perspective, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I agree 100% with what Brian was saying. That was what was going to come out of my mouth. But what I would add to that is that I think there's still a lot of people that are uncomfortable with change, that are uncomfortable stepping out of the box that they've been in at their event for the last 5, 10, 15 years, that it's difficult for them to see that if we make these even just a few tweaks, the return on this event could be increased tenfold. So I understand people's fears that it's kind of stepping out of their comfort zone, but oftentimes there are minor tweaks that can be made in an agenda, in session types, in content, and how you layer in content that can make major differences in the outcome of the event. but people are maybe fearful of that change and just kind of want to do things the same way that they've done in the past.
Yeah, no, those are great points. So my last question is, as you look ahead, where do you see corporate events going over the next few years? And what should teams start thinking about as they plan for upcoming programs?
Yeah, I think corporate events are going to continue to really be a cornerstone for growth within organizations. I think with the increase in AI and technology, and there's a lot of things that people are trying to do to create efficiencies, to streamline processes, to use technology more, which I believe in turn is going to push them to having an even deeper desire to meet with people face to face and to continue building human relationships. So I think that events as a whole are going to continue to thrive and to grow. And I think that as we dive deeper into AI, into some of these technologies, that's actually going to grow as a, rather than take away from events. I think it's going to add to events. And I think the industry is in a great position going forward. And I think back to a previous question, I do think a lot more people are understanding that they need to be better aligned with their events and with the strategies. So I think that will continue to evolve too, and maybe the use of technology will help that piece. But I just believe that that people are going to continue to want to get together in person more and more. Like I said earlier, we believe that human relationship is just so important and so needed. And people are going to continue to recognize that as they're pouring more time into, talking to Chat GPT or Gemini or whoever they're talking to on their computer.
Absolutely. And with that, as well, as Dave and I reach, let's call it the latter half of our careers in this space, we've seen a lot of change for sure. And one of the most fun changes that I see is actually just in, honestly, the age of the individuals that are participating in these events, right? This sort of next generation of professionals that are coming into the workforce and now starting to hold positions of management or leadership and that sort of thing. And we've seen those attendees actually become a lot more sophisticated, I think, than maybe what we saw in the beginning of our careers, right? I think way back when, people were just kind of happy to go and have a reception and have a general session and hit some breakouts and maybe hit an expo hall and just kind of follow that flow. It's a lot of fun now that our attendees are more sophisticated. They want to participate. It's not so much of that one-way communication that it was in the past, right? People want to have those same sort of interactions that they're having through the use of technology, but also being able to continue that in person. So how do we continue to help people connect both pre-event, on-site, and post-event? How do we really build communities that people are accustomed to? I can find my community of people, whether it's my personal hobbies or my home life or my kids' school or whatever it is. We want to make sure that that's also available as people attend these events. When I meet somebody at the event, I want to be able to stay in contact with them. I want to connect with them. I want to have a peer-to-peer conversation and not just hear about, okay, what is this particular company or this particular leader saying that I should be doing or what would be helpful for me, but actually, how do I find those influencers, right? We all love our gurus, just like the title of the podcast here. How do I find those gurus? How do I find those influencers? How do I find those people that I want to mirror, that I want to build my success or mirror my success around? And so that's actually a lot of fun and really a neat development when it comes to events. It's not just about, hey, we're here to stick you in a live commercial. No. This is now truly a two-way, if not multi-way sort of communication effort and experience that's happening.
Awesome. Well, Brian, Dave, thank you so much for sharing more about the story behind GoGather and where events are headed next. Excited to see what the rest of 2026 has in store for us. And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us. We'll be back soon next week with more conversations from the GoGather team.